Good morning. Welcome to Kenya News Update today. I'm your host, and we begin with breaking developments from Kajiado County, where political tensions have erupted into violent confrontation. This is our 12-minute deep dive into the chaos in Kitengela, where police fired tear gas to disperse a rally led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna and Mbakasi East MP Babu Owino. The incident, which occurred on Sunday, February 15, 2026, has sparked a fierce national debate about political freedoms, police conduct, and the deepening fractures within the Orange Democratic Movement. We'll analyze the timeline, the numbers on the ground, the official responses, and what this means for Kenya's political landscape under President William Ruto's administration. Let's get into it. Our story begins at approximately 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, in the bustling town of Kitengela. According to multiple eyewitness accounts and video footage, a political rally organized by a faction of ODM loyal to its embattled Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna, was underway. The gathering, dubbed a Linda Mwananchi, or Protect the Citizen Forum, had drawn a significant crowd. Initial police estimates, later contested by organizers, placed the number of attendees at around 1,200 people. The rally had been proceeding for nearly 2 hours when the situation escalated dramatically. At roughly 4:15 p.m., a contingent of anti-riot police officers arrived on the scene. Witnesses report that without audible warning or an order to disperse, the officers began firing tear gas canisters directly into the assembled crowd. The chaos was immediate and total. Visual evidence from social media and news outlets shows thick plumes of white smoke engulfing the town center. Supporters, including Boda riders, local residents, and youths, were seen running in panic, covering their faces. Some reports indicate police also fired shots into the air. The dispersal operation lasted for approximately 45 minutes, with police pursuing fleeing crowds down side streets. At least 15 individuals are confirmed to have been treated for tear gas inhalation at nearby clinics, though no major injuries or arrests have been officially reported. The two principal figures, Senator Sifuna and MP Owino, were reportedly escorted to safety by their security details and were not directly harmed. The scene they left behind was one of confusion, anger, and scattered personal effects. Now, let's examine the key players and the context that led to this flashpoint. On one side, we have the ODM faction led by Edwin Sifuna. Sifuna, the party's Secretary General, has been publicly at odds with a wing of the party perceived to be more accommodating to President Ruto's Kenya Kwanza government. His Linda Mwananchi rallies are framed as efforts to reconnect the party with its grassroots base and critique government policies. His ally, Babu Owino, is a firebrand MP known for his vocal opposition. The rally in Kitengela was part of a scheduled series across the country. On the other side stands the National Police Service. Their actions are governed by the Public Order Act, which requires organizers to notify police of public gatherings. This is where the narratives violently diverge. Police spokesperson, Bruno Chioso, issued a statement late Sunday night. He asserted that the organizers of the Kitengela rally failed to provide adequate notification as required by law. He stated that the assembly was therefore unlawful and posed a clear threat to public safety and order. The police, he said, were acting to prevent a breach of peace. Chioso cited intelligence reports suggesting the potential for violence and the obstruction of major roads. He put the number of police officers deployed at 120 personnel from the Kitengela and the river stations. He emphasized that the use of tear gas was a standard, non-lethal crowd control measure employed only after verbal warnings, a claim directly contradicted by dozens of video clips and attendee accounts. In sharp contrast, Senator Edwin Sifuna held a press conference in Nairobi on Monday morning. He was furious. This was not law enforcement. This was political repression sanctioned from the highest levels of government, Sifuna declared. He produced copies of what he said were notification letters sent to the Kitengela Sub-County Police Commander 3 days prior, on Thursday, February 12th. He accused the police of acting in bad faith and on direct orders to stifle legitimate political opposition. We had over 3,000 peaceful citizens exercising their constitutional right to assemble, Sifuna claimed, dramatically upping the attendance figure. Were attacked with chemical weapons for no reason other than their political affiliation. This is the state of democracy in Kenya in 2026. This incident cannot be viewed in isolation. It is a symptom of a much broader and more troubling trend. Since the start of the year, there have been at least 6 similar disruptions of opposition-affiliated gatherings across 5 different counties. A comparative analysis shows a worrying pattern. In January, a forum in Nakuru was blocked. Earlier this month, a planned town hall in Mombasa was preemptively cancelled after police cordoned off the venue. The Kitengela event marks the first time tear gas has been used so aggressively in this recent cycle. Political analysts point to a hardening of the government's stance against any form of mass opposition mobilization, particularly from factions within ODM that refuse to collaborate with the administration. We reached out to several analysts for perspective. Dr. Ama Okoth, a political scientist at the University of Nairobi, told us the Ruto administration is sending a clear message: street-level political mobilization by the opposition will be met with force. The use of the Public Order Act is increasingly selective. Pro-government rallies rarely face such scrutiny. This creates a dangerous imbalance. She notes that the internal ODM rift is a key factor. By targeting the Sifuna faction specifically, the state may be attempting to further weaken and divide the main opposition party, effectively managing dissent by encouraging internal conflict. But what about the legal and human rights dimensions? The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights has announced it is launching an independent investigation. Commissioner Mainakiai stated, "The right to peaceful assembly is enshrined in Article 37 of our Constitution. The state has a duty to protect that right, not to be the primary agent of its violation. The disproportionate use of force, especially without clear warning, is unacceptable." He referenced a landmark 2020 High Court ruling that struck down parts of the Public Order Act, emphasizing that police should facilitate protests, not prohibit them. However, enforcement of this ruling has been inconsistent at best. Let's look at the numbers on the ground and the resource allocation. According to police procurement records from last year, the National Police Service spent approximately 500 million shillings on riot control equipment, including tear gas canisters, launchers, and protective gear. This represents a 15% increase from the previous fiscal year. Furthermore, data from the Independent Policing Oversight Authority shows that complaints against police for unlawful assembly dispersal have risen by 30% in the first 6 weeks of 2026 compared to the same period last year. However, the rate of investigations leading to disciplinary action remains below 20%. This accountability gap is a central part of the criticism. Back to the aftermath in Kitengela. The economic impact on the small traders was immediate. The town's center, usually vibrant on a Sunday afternoon, was shuttered for the remainder of the day. Jane Wanjiru, a Mama Mboga whose stall was overturned in the stampede, estimated her losses at 25,000 shillings. "This is politics, but we are the ones who pay," she said. "They bring their problems here, the police come with gas, and my tomatoes are destroyed. For what?" This sentiment echoes a broader public frustration with political clashes that disrupt daily life and livelihoods. The political fallout is accelerating. ODM leader Raila Odinga, currently out of the country, issued a terse statement condemning the brutal attack on our party members and supporters. However, he did not specifically name or defend the Sifuna-led faction, highlighting the internal party tensions. MPs aligned with the party's handshake, wing with the government have remained conspicuously silent. Meanwhile, leaders from President Ruto's Kenya Kwanza Alliance have defended the police. Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, stated, "No one is above the law. If you break the law by holding an illegal meeting, you face the consequences. The police did their job. So, where do we go from here? Several paths are possible. First, the KNCHR investigation could yield recommendations, but its power is largely advisory. Second, Sifuna has threatened to sue the Inspector General of Police for damages, which could lead to a protracted court battle that tests the limits of the Public Order Act. Third, and most likely, this event will galvanize the Sifuna Owino faction, potentially leading to more defiant and strategically planned rallies, setting the stage for further clashes. The risk of a tragic accident or serious injury escalates with each confrontation. In our final analysis, the tear gas in Kitengela is more than a local police action. It is a stark indicator of the shrinking space for political opposition in Kenya. It reflects the government's intolerance for mass gatherings. It does not control and exposes the deep fissures within ODM that the state may be exploiting. The numbers, from the disputed crowd size to the rising complaints against police, paint a picture of a democracy under strain. The constitutional right to assemble is being choked, quite literally, by toxic smoke. The coming weeks will be critical. Will there be a de-escalation, or is Kitengela a preview of a more volatile and confrontational political season? The answer may depend on whether dialogue replaces dispersal as the tool of first resort. That is our deep dive into the chaos in Kitengela. We've presented the facts, the figures, and the competing perspectives. The story is still developing. For continuous updates on this and all news shaping Kenya, subscribe to Kenya News Update today. I'm your host. Thank you for watching.